Today I'm going to cover an interview with Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. I don't like to cover leftist drama. I don't think it's productive. I think it's boring. A lot of the leftist infighting kind of redirects our energy towards the real enemies. And maybe there's an argument for Anna Kasparian going to the right. But I think the Cenk situation is a bit more interesting. And I really am interested in your view on his motivations and why he seemed to have changed his tune on Trump, MAGA, and building alliances. Yeah, it's interesting. So let's get straight into the interview.
Standing by for President Trump to meet with Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, in the Oval Office, of course, at a critical time for the alliance as the Trump administration casts a bit of a quizzical eye at the bill for NATO. Let's get the thoughts of Cenk Uygur, founder and CEO of the Young Turks and former Democratic presidential candidate. Thanks so much for coming in the studio. Great to see you, Cenk. For those who don't know, there can't be many that don't, what's the Young Turks?
So it's a news show that has perspective. It's on the left. It's very much populist. The easy way to understand it is we supported Bernie Sanders in the primaries.
Right. So what...
Okay, that's interesting that he doesn't say that we kind of tried to make an alliance with Trump supporters, with MAGA, trying to kind of meet them where they are, which I think you should meet people where they are, but you should hold true to your own values and what you represent. Interesting he says that about Bernie. I think that's really interesting.
Then is your view of what Trump has been saying, particularly about NATO itself?
So I'm worried that he's weakening the alliance, and the alliance has held strong and really served its purpose pretty spectacularly. At the same time, I understand what he's saying about Europe putting in their dues as much as America is, and America has put in more dues for a long, long time. And American people are getting a little tired of basically supporting the whole world.
And do you think that's a view of MAGA Republicans, or is that a view that is shared broadly across America, that you're really doing your bit financially to keep the security of the rest of the world?
Yeah, the lines are constantly shifting, and so are alliances within politics in America.
Yeah.
So at this point, I would say MAGA Republicans believe that, and probably a sizable portion of independents do, which gives you a majority in America.
Is that something you think?
I happen to think that too, because I'm a populist, and so.
Okay.
And you know, we can discuss what populism means
Sure.
in the American context. It just means things that are popular. But
why are those things popular? I mean, are they fed that information? Like Trump constantly repeating the message, the borders, criminals coming over, lunatics, insane people. Trump famously said, tell a lie enough, repeat it, and it becomes the truth. And I think it's a fake populism. MAGA is a fake populism. It's not what people want. People have to be pushed from left-leaning positions because Social Security is one of the most popular policies in America. Why is that? Because people like stuff. People like contributing to a pile of money, and everyone benefits from it. It's such a popular thing. So, yeah, this is where, like, I think the Cenk kind of fails, because this is where he fell into the trap of, like, that's why he supported Trump. He was like saying, we need to, kind of, maybe he does what he's going to say he's doing. Maybe he's going to, it was obvious he was never going to do that. Anyway, continue.
But right now, yeah, if the European countries are putting in their dues in the way that is proportional, I love the alliance, and I want the alliance to continue.
You wrote a book in 2023 called Justice is Coming, How Progressives Are Going to Take Over the Country and America is Going to Love It. Why didn't that work out?
Well, give me time. 2028. But no, in all seriousness, because what America's done so far is they've tried the establishment. And so that's mainstream media, establishment Democrats and Republicans. And they hate it. They hate the status quo. The whole world hates the status quo because we all live under corporate rule. So the Democrats did a great job of snuffing out Bernie Sanders' wing of the party in 2016 and 2020. Bernie could have won easily. In fact, he was up by 12 points against Donald Trump in 2016. So now America's trying populist right. But populist right has a whole host of issues that are problematic, so they won't like it because at the end of the day, they're still going to rob the average American to pay the very, very rich.
He's changed his tune greatly here. He was talking about making alliances with MAGA a few months ago before the election. Why has he changed? Like, it's okay to change your mind, admit you were wrong, but the way he's framing it, like, this is very strange to me. Like, why weren't you? Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Comment below if you can explain this to me.
With a $4.5 trillion tax cut. So the next thing America is going to try is populist.
Which is so obvious. Yeah, it was so obvious. But you were kind of talking about, yeah, we need to. He went to conventions. He was kind of getting friendly with people on the right. Like, which, again, I think you should meet people where they are, but you've got to hold true to what you believe, your principles, what you want.
Left. So that's where we come back into the scene and win in 28.
Who does that? Who embodies that populist? It can't be Bernie.
I think that's true. Like, already we're less than 2 months in with Trump. It's a disaster. The economy, inflation's going to go up. People are going to be unhappy by the end of this term in like 3 years' time. They're going to be unhappy. But it's not inevitable that Democrats come in and swoop in. Like, it might be that bad where they just win by default, like Labour won. Like, they just hate Republicans so much they're just going to go to Democrats, which I think probably will happen. But who's going to lead the charge?
Bernie Sanders again.
No, he's too old. So we have to find the next Bernie Sanders, and that's partly my job. Now, that's outside of the Young Turks and the TYT network. There we do news and analysis. But I'm also an activist, as you noted. I ran for president, ran for Congress, and I'm not shy about it. I want to find the next Bernie Sanders, and I want to make sure that they're the next president of the United States. No, it is definitely not me.
Do you think Donald Trump is a fool, or do you think he has a plan?
I think both. So does he have some capabilities that put him above the Democrats? Yes, he can do marketing. And so he's constantly marketing himself, trumpeting himself up. And then the Democrats say, oh, that's so uncouth. Who cares? Get in there and fight. Okay, so the Democrats almost do nothing.
Everyone's a contradiction. We're all contradictions. Shakespeare knew that. Writers know that. Hollywood knows that. But this is why I like Cenk. He's a fighter. He is a fighter. Why didn't he have this attitude against MAGA a few months ago? Like, we need to fight. We need to fight this. Like, I appreciate it now, but it's very strange to me.
He comes in like a cyclone, does a lot of things. So on the other hand, he doesn't know anything. He just opposed Tom Massey, who's a very conservative Republican. He doesn't even know that his base likes Massey more than they like Trump. So there's so many things that he has no idea about. That's why he says preposterous things like, no one knew healthcare was complicated. No, everyone knew healthcare was complicated outside of you.
It was so interesting to me watching his speech to Congress and the way in which the Democrats acted during that. In particular, there is a very young boy who's very ill, who's being given sort of...
It is interesting that Cenk seems to be like going against Trump now, but a lot of people will support Trump despite the prices going up, the economy, even hitting a recession, because it's not necessarily just about the economy. It's about an ideological position of like sticking it to the libs, or just like people can't really save face. They see like, oh, he represents us, and they are willing to sacrifice that. So I don't think it's as simple as like, oh, people like assumed Trump was gonna make America great again. Oh, they didn't. Therefore, no. There'd be a lot of people who like think, oh, Trump's been a victim of lawfare. They didn't let him do it. It's the deep state. It's more complicated than that.
Membership of the Secret Service, because that was his big dream. And there's this young boy in the crowd, and Trump is bequeathing this young man membership of the security. And the Democrats didn't get up and applaud. And you just thought, that looks absolutely abysmal. That's a terrible thing.
So those are the establishment Democrats, the corporate Democrats, and they're rudderless right now because their donors have gone home. So they don't have anyone to take orders from. So they're like corporate robots that are malfunctioning. So do you stand for that boy with cancer? Of course you do. Of course you do. On the other hand, then you come out and in your rebuttal, you mentioned that Donald Trump has cut cancer research by billions of dollars. So that is going to affect that boy's health a lot. So it was a kind of a cheap trick by Donald Trump. But when you don't applaud and you don't point out that he cut out cancer research, you're really not very good at politics.
Let me ask you this. It's come from Neil, who says, can you please ask Cenk why AOC isn't considered presidential material?
So I wouldn't say that she's not presidential material. You never know what happens in the future. But I have concerns with her because I started the group Just Democrats that she ran under, and I'm one of the co-founders there. But it was supposed to be about economic populism. And some of the members like AOC took it in the direction of cultural wars and identity politics.
And you think that's dead? That's over now?
I think it's very unpopular. And I don't see... They shouldn't have gone in that direction. And it's very unlikely to win a president.
But did they? I mean, a lot of the culture war are fueled by the right. And this is a big question for the left. If someone's fighting a war against trans people, against black people, against women, do you fight back? I mean, do you? I mean, should Ukraine fight back when they've been invaded? I think we should. But that doesn't mean that it's a zero-sum game or that we can't talk about class issues as well. We should do what Bernie does. Talk about trans rights, trans validity, and then redirect it towards the economy. It's not an either or, but a lot of people are saying like, oh, don't talk about the culture wars. That's impossible. Like, not talking about black rights, civil rights in America with their history. We've been talking about it for hundreds of years. Like, identity politics is a part of politics. It always has been and it always will be. We've got to link it to economics and fuse the two together and go, actually, our economics benefit everybody, trans people, white men, and that's how you do it. You sell the story to everybody. With the common enemy being billionaires. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Peter Thiel. But, yeah.
Presidential race.
Final thought. Populism is great because it's popular. But is it deliverable? If once you've come off from shouting at the stage that they're all wrong and you're on the stage having to do stuff, can actually any of the things that you're talking about be delivered?
Easily. And so
the populists would say that, wouldn't they?
No. So I can tell you exactly how. So right now, the reason that nothing gets done in America, and your audience, might not know this because they're not from the States, is that we've legalized bribery in America. The Supreme Court did through Citizens United and other decisions. So corporations can give unlimited money to politicians, and they have bought all of our politicians. Yeah. So paid family leave is universal, except in America, the richest country. So moms, after delivery, have to go back to work the very next day in America. It is brutal. It is barbaric. It is corporate rule. And getting paid family leave polls at 84%. Incredibly popular in both parties. The only reason why we don't have it is because corporations pay to make sure that the politicians never pass incredibly popular policies. Give me...
And this is why Trump is a fake populist. He won't talk about the popular policies. Like, you have to manufacture consent on immigration, which, yeah, is an issue. But beyond healthcare, being able to afford housing, be able to afford education, like the staples that a lot of Americans can't. 60% live paycheck to paycheck. Their wages are low. They have to work some of the longest hours. Americans work some of the longest hours with some of the shortest holidays in the world. That's the problem, like the perception of populism. Like, what's popular? Left-wing policies are popular. Taxing the wealth, taxing the billionaires, redistributing, Keynesian economics. These are popular policies. That's what we need to be pushing. But I think Cenk is half right, but also he's kind of falling into the Trump trap in a way.
Populist left president, I'll get you paid family leave in 2 weeks.
How do you get it funded? Because they're the ones with the money. So how do you fund the political campaigns of those people who are going to rise up to office?
That's why we have to go to the top. So we tried with Justice Democrats trying to bring it up from the bottom and getting a lot of people in Congress. But just like Trump took over the Republican Party, it is actually surprisingly easy to take over a party as long as your candidate can get escape velocity in media. Our number one opponent for progressives in America is mainstream media. Mainstream media despises populist left. They despise progressives way more than they hate the right wing. And so they're our main enemy. But now mainstream media in America is greatly weakened. So we can go around them. We can use online media,
and
podcasts.
Trump's done that too.
Exactly. So you use the Trump model, but you use it with someone honest, decent, and actually going to serve the average American. And then you'll be able to win the primary. If you win the primary in the Democratic side, it's over.
I mean, that sounds very good. Sounds great. It sounds wonderful. But where's the money coming from to fund those podcasts, that infrastructure? Because there's money on the right. Where are you going to get it from if it's not corporate financial interests? Like, what, we're going to have a whip around? It's I don't want to say naive, but this ain't happening.
I guarantee a victory in the general election. It won't even be close. And then at that point, you can pass all of the popular bills because they're all above 2/3. The only reason we don't pass them because almost every politician in America serves corporations.
Terrific to see. Thank you so much for coming.
That is true. But I think what's going to happen, and it's not going to be like this great plan, like we're going to find the new Bernie Sanders and we're going to, bring leftist populism back to the fore in America. I think what's more likely to happen is what happened in the UK with Labour Party. The Republicans are going to be so bad that people are going to be like, well, we just don't want any more of that. We're going to Democrats. And the pendulum swings back again. And will Democrats learn their lessons? Probably not. I mean, we're not going to have a leftist progressive president as a Democrat leader in 2028. I would like to be proven wrong, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And what is Cenk's motivation here? I think he's a good guy. I think he's on the right side, but like this Trump stuff, like, why the change of heart all of a sudden? Why is he like... Comment below what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.